in transit, New York City time. Before they show up, like, what's your thoughts on the intersection?
Man, I kind of think we touched on it a little bit with Trent Out Loud in the last live stream.
When Trent was here,
that there would be no sneaker culture if it weren't for music,
right.
and if there weren't, for this thing called hip hop.
Right.
And I always think about moments in time. For me, are always defined by two things. One, the music that I was listening to at the time, the song,
right.
And then two, what I was wearing on my feet or what I was obsessing about.
Gotcha.
So like that, those they literally go. Some people say hand in hand, but let's be real. Like it's ears and feet.
Absolutely.
Like literally, it's soul to soul. Right?
No, for sure.
Soul to soul.
You know what I find interesting? Like we always say it's music. Yeah. But is it music that was the origin, or is it hip hop that was the origin? It's kind of two different things, right?
Well, yeah, because it's all that.
Like music is a big category.
Exactly. Right? It's that whole mashup.
Yeah. Where now I think sneakers have overflowed into music. Yeah. But the culture was born out of hip hop.
Absolutely.
And I think those are two very distinct things.
What was a defining like song for you growing up that you remember like probably listening to it on repeat?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
Any particular artist? Any particular time frame?
I think the youngest introduction would be Kane.
Okay.
Right, listening to the Kane albums and like how smooth he was. Yeah. How pretty much
cadence, man.
Yeah, right, and like the wordplay. And then being young, being like, oh, this guy has it figured out. And I think at that time, the majority of like music that was coming out was street.
That's true.
When there was someone who was like street, but also smooth. So
and he looked fly too. It just had the whole,
Like listen to on repeat, I almost say like, I started to study it more. Like listening is just passive,
Right.
But I started to study it more when I got introduced to him. Yeah. How about you?
Big Daddy Kane. I would say like the first artist I heard, and like literally, I hate to say this, but this is me dating myself, which is real.
Right.
I had an 8-track of Curtis Blow's first album.
Got you.
That Pops gave me, and then eventually moved on to like, the KRS Ones, the Boogie Down Productions.
Right.
It was big. I mean, the song that like really, I think of like Dougie Fresh, The Show.
Interesting.
Which was huge. Yeah.
Here's like, just as you're speaking, this is what's coming to my mind. Yeah. It's like, what was like the position or like the role of a sneaker back then? Like, cause I didn't really, like I'm now thinking, but it's like, I didn't actually, like I said, Kane. Right. And I can't promise you that I was attached to sneakers at that time.
Okay.
Right. So I actually can't really remember what it was, what was happening during that time.
Yeah. Like when I think of Big Daddy Kane, I definitely think of, silk shirts. I think of Bally shoes. I think of Travel Fox.
Right, that's history.
Right? That's what I think about for footwear, right?
Okay, yeah.
I don't think of Kane and associate immediately with sneakers. But
footwear, right.
I think of footwear as a whole and looking fly and, from the feet up, feeling, looking good and feeling good.
Got you.
I think hip hop, particularly because of the B-boys and B-girls, they were the ones that were pushing the sneakers because they're the ones who were the floor lords, right? So they're commanding the floor not only with their body, but particularly their feet. And certain sneakers kind of translated. So it was either Pumas, like Puma suedes,
right,
or it was Adidas, like Superstars for sure, but like the real, like I remember watching B-boys in New York City in the late 80s wearing like Sambas, Adidas Sambas, which was an indoor soccer shoe. But because of the low sleek profile of it,
right,
it had good grip for when you had to do the popping and locking, but when you took it to the, when they took it to the ground, to the floor, they were able to do stuff. I've even seen dudes doing backspins, and then literally their shoes go flying off because they didn't tie them. They had fat laces in them,
Like, what's interesting, what you just said, was the females' role in in not only hip hop but like the sneaker game, because you said like earlier, which to me was like, oh damn, I never looked at it like that. That they were the ones that were dominating.
Oh yeah.
At that point, right? So I'm interested to hear like someone like what Jazz
guys, exactly,
because like she'll be one of the first females that we have on the show.
Yeah.
But I think that's an interesting thing to explore.
I mean, sneakers. I always think about again how we got dressed, right? We get dressed truly from the feet up.
Right.
You figure out your sneakers, you put your whole fit together. you know, when the lady stepped into a jam or a party, it was like, okay, not only did they have the whole outfit with the top, the jeans, the sneakers, but then they had like the scrunchie in their hair, you know, the door knocker earrings, the jewelry, the rings. Like it was a whole fit.
It was a whole fit.
And again, it was like, ooh, like even just looking at you color coordinating. I mean, colors, like certain people, you know, when you color coordinated, like with the purple and the orange and everything from head to toe, was like, yeah, they put some thought. Like that's what I always appreciate. And to me, it was something about when you saw a woman, you know, a fly woman just do it. You're like, yo, I gotta tell you, your outfit is like,
you're tight.
You're tight. No, it's good, you know? It's and she would appreciate that. It wasn't even like, trying to holler or anything. It was just like, I appreciate everything. Right? Even, you know, dude be like, yo, you give him like, I see you. You know? You're doing it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, man. Like, and one thing, because we're both Caribbean background, and we're talking about music, like something that just popped into my mind is like, I wonder how sneakers played into music in other cultures.
Exactly.
Like the Caribbean, you know, like now that it's soca and all these different types of reggae, they're all overflowing into one bigger culture. Like, because you grew up in the Caribbean.
I grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So, and having traveled to other Caribbean islands, I used to always look at, not only listen to the music, but look at what people were wearing.
Right.
Look at colors. Like, I like bright colors. I don't know if that's just a Caribbean thing in me, but the brighter the better. Neons, when neon phase came in, I was like, bet, no problem. I got sneakers to match, right? Like, you go green, I can go brighter. Highlighter green even, right? But the music, like when you think of like reggae and soca and calypso, and even the mashups where you have like, you go to Spanish-speaking countries or islands where it's like, you have the bachata and the merengue and all that stuff mixed together. It's like, man, just flavor. It is. It's like
it's a whole.
It's like a good pot of kalaloo. You know, you throw some of everything in there. It's like,
for sure.
You know,
it's
go look up kalaloo. Some people won't know what that one is.
That's a Trinidadian. if you don't know what that is, then you know.
Yeah. And see, even kalaloo, like how we would borrow, like I know kalaloo is a Trini dish,
right?
But we have it in the Virgin Islands. And everyone makes it different.
Got you.
If you go to like St. Croix, Christiansted makes it different than Frederickstead. People from St. John make it different than St. Tomians. It's just so like even in St. Martin, it's a whole different thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Going back into music and like that intersection, what I'm finding more and more like back in the day, you know, we both work in the history of like sneakers and kind of where music crosses over, like bringing it back to, you remember Run DMC had to strategize to get a deal. Now I feel like entertainers, musicians are getting deals left, right, and center.
Right.
I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but what do you think about that? Or do you think that's a good thing?
I think, you know, it was bound to happen. All these collabs or crossover from music to fashion. It makes sense because the brands realize that these artists are wearing these things no matter what. Like Run DMC was wearing, you know, the Lee jeans,
right?
The fedoras, the superstars, you know, with the no lace. I mean, you know, rest in peace to Jam Master Jay. Like everything I've read about and heard about, and you know, even stories people who are in the industry to remember those days. People talking like people like April Walker, or talking to Clark Kent or whomever. They remember seeing these styles and fashions, right? But see the crossover from music on the stage to being in front of thousands of people. And then now with cable television and 24-hour cable news now, they could broadcast, and then, you know, MTV, BET, that was a game changer. Now brands are like, wait a minute, that person is rocking Benetton rugby, and they're performing in Toronto. Oh, what happens? All of a sudden, sales
start to go up.
Spike, right? They're watching, they see, they're trying to make the correlation, but they see the correlation. So, you know, it's like I never knew about, give you an example, music and hip hop and sneakers. I never knew about Le Coq Sportif until Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Wow.
To see them wear Le Coq Sportif, and I was like, okay, Le Coq Sportif. I was like, okay, French, I get that. I never heard about the brand. We had one store in St. Thomas that carried it, and they only had a few pieces. So what do? travel stateside, I'm hunting. I'm literally looking through the yellow pages for sporting goods shops or clothing stores and just walking around. And luckily, I ended up here in New York City.
Right.
And I don't remember exactly where. I think it was actually the Bronx.
Okay.
And I found a spot that had a Coq Sportif and had a lot of pieces. I was like, oh. And they had this sweatsuit that was crazy.
So it overflows into clothing and sneakers.
So and then I realized, talk to family, and they're like, oh, you don't know about La Coq Sportif? Well, it's a tennis brand. Oh, word? It's a tennis brand? That's where it came from? And it just happened to, right? People saw it. Will Smith, Jazzy Jeff saw it on tennis players and said, we're going to flip the script and we're going to take it from tennis and now make it part of our outfit and rock it on the stage with music.
Got you.
Right? So now they're touring. Le Coq Sportif sees them and they're like, oh, we need to mess with y'all and do some other stuff.
Right. I mean, it's interesting. I feel like everyone sees different entry points.
Yeah.
Like, when did it explode and become like an official culture, A, and B, like, to you, when was the moment where, like, you now recognize that, like, the music industry and the sneaker industry are going to intertwine?
That convergence.
Like, when was that moment to you?
That's a good question, man. I would say 1986. And it was because of Run DMC.
Right.
It was because of artists like Dougie Fresh, who has Caribbean roots and was rocking the Bally's, Slick Rick, and his outfits and his British accent. And again, Bally's, Travel Fox. So the crossover, right? So like the music with the crossover, definitely saw a lot of it. Yeah.
It's dope. Rob's telling me that Jazz and Sean are on the way.
Oh, okay.
So they should be in pretty quickly.
Okay, let's
But that's an interesting intersection. Like, I was trying to do some work and just figure out when exactly it happened for me.
Yeah.
Where I was like, not so much that they didn't talk about it in music, but like that you started to see artists start to be treated like athletes.
Right.
Or
getting big deals.
Big deals. The same type of deal that, a major athlete would have, an artist would have.
Exactly.
And it made me think, it's like, for me, that moment was like the Jay-Z 50 Cent Reebok drop.
Yeah.
When I was like, wow, like, Jay's about to go get a pair of sneakers the same way an athlete would.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting to me to see that was where the one moment was.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz and Sean about to walk in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Interested to see they're jumping in right at the perfect time.
Thank you for joining me.
For having me.
Good to see you. Sean,
brothers,
you good?
How we doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Slide on in.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
We made it through.
Absolutely.
The challenges of
Saturday traffic.
Exactly.
Everyday traffic.
Holiday shoppers.
This is New York, right?
So you guys came at the perfect time. So we were just literally talking about, and everyone has a different opinion, when did sneakers and music make the actual relationship a marriage? And it was like, you could see artists starting to become like athletes, right? But everyone has different points. Look at
What's
you.
the phrase? Come on, we know the phrase. Athletes want to be rappers, rappers want to be athletes.
Right. That's a good segue, but when was that moment for you? When do you recognize it as? Because we all have different entry points.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, we got the perfect guest here with us, Jazmin, to talk about where that is now, But, it's really hard to pinpoint that simply because hip-hop culture and sneaker culture are the same. So when you think about all the people who came from hip-hop, who became athletes, they weren't athletes, but they were part of the lifestyle growing up.
Yeah.
And then they become athletes. That switch never really shut off for them. They were who they were.
Absolutely.
So it's hard to really say. It depends on who the person is.
So to you, who would you say it would be?
I can't pinpoint. Again, you really can't, because Dee played sports in college, right? Yeah. So you could have easily went on to professional football, ball, whatever, and then does that take away everything that you were into before you became a professional athlete? No, it doesn't.
But there was a soundtrack to it, though.
Right, exactly. There was the soundtrack that motivated you. Right, exactly. So it's hard to say. I can pinpoint an athlete who wasn't into anything, and then all of a sudden now he likes shoes, he likes cars. You were into something that pushed you to where you are. Yeah,
music is influencing everything you do, even when you're working out,
Exactly.
training, getting ready in the morning, whatever motivates you. You know, music is always, I think, no matter what you do for a living or what you're trying to pursue, it's always around you, and it's depending your mood of the day. That's what you're listening to. What's you know, if you're in the gym, you're not gonna listen to, well, I don't want to say because as a person, but you're not listening to an R&B record. You're listening to something more up tempo, more fast beat. That's, you know, that's what's motivating and pushing you to run a little faster on the treadmill or lift away. So I think it just depends.
Yeah, it's
always around.
So a better question is, instead of it being married, when was an important moment to you? When they got introduced to each other?
I would say for me, when I started realizing that it was going to become a thing, was, I have to say, through, you know, personal exposure to, like, when my homie Chip Fu was working with Shaq. Okay. You know, when it became a subject of discussion whether an athlete is really performing at a top level because now he wants to be an artist. You know, and remember, this was a big point of contention for Shaq from going from Orlando to LA. There was this whole talk. All right, when he comes out here, now he's in La La Land, is he going to be 100%? Is he going to give us that? Or is he going to come in here and act and rap? And those were all the things that they were saying behind his back. And obviously he showed them, you know, what he came to do. But, you know, it became that point. And then, you know, Kobe wanted to make records. And, you know, and now it's not a big deal. Dame Lillard is, what they say now, the best basketball player to ever rap, right? Now it's nothing, you know. But it became one of those things where they started making athletes choose. All right, listen, we pay you to play ball. Whatever. I mean, basketball, football, whatever. We pay you to play this sport. But when you're not playing the sport, whatever you do, that's fine. But they started treating our athletes who wanted to make music like it was going to be a distraction. That's when it really, for me, that's when it became the kind of thing. So I guess that would be what, 95, 96, around that time frame. But we can say that, you know, it became the kind of thing where they were always starting to worry about an athlete's dedication to his sport because he was into other things, that being especially hip hop, fashion, and everything else.
Gotcha.
Jazz, what about you?
I think I'll look at it from maybe a different perspective. I look at it a moment to me where that sticks out in my mind, where I was very young, that I saw an athlete marry the culture within as a whole, and it became big. I will have to say, like, Space Jam.
Oh wow!
I will have to say MJ, because MJ he's an iconic. He's a huge artist. He had the iconic, you know, the Jumpman logo, the shoe. It tied it in with not only music, because of course there was a soundtrack behind it. You have the greatest entertainer of all time, Michael Jackson, be a part of that soundtrack, and then now you're expanding, and now you're combining with film. So I think it touches all 3 points. So I think to me, that would be something that stands out.
That's a good
that
one.
I'm like, wow, like this is not only NBA, like it's going.
It's overflowing.
That's a good one.
And
similar time frame.
You're hitting all 3 different markets and a broader demographic, when it's just like you have your Jordan fans who are you know, basketball enthusiasts. Then you have your music fans, it's like Michael Jackson. What's greater than that? And then
plus the
film,
the cast was pretty dope too.
The characters, the film, like they tied in so many
Bill Murray and all of that
different elements, and I think that's, to me, stand out, because there's still years later they're trying to mimic that now, but that one was big to me. And I was,
and that's one that probably won't ever be, even though they'll try, it will never be duplicated.
There's only one Michael Jackson, there's only one Michael Jordan.
True.
So you can't.
2 MJs.
And the rest of that soundtrack was actually dope too, because I mean, shout out to my boy Easy Mo B, who produced the track for the Monstars that came in to play. Remember? So
even the visuals for the video was sick. Like,
We were talking earlier about, like, how did you get introduced to the culture, like sneaker culture, music culture? Interested, because you're like the first girl that's on our show.
Okay.
Just to hear what your perspective is, like, how did you get introduced to this obsession? You know?
I just think, well, the now it's just oversaturated, and it's like all these, especially no disrespect to any females, it's like I think women just do it because it's a cool factor. Like, oh, I want to be here with the guys, or this is something cool. Like, to me, is a passion, it's something that I loved, and it's like it was introduced to me way before I could either understand what was being introduced. I want to say the first time that I fell in love with a specific shoe and sneaker, I was 8 years old. You know, I would say it was about, I'm saying my age, it was about 86. And the first shoe that I fell in love with was the Bo Jackson S Trainer. And it's because at that point, well, my mom always had a stipulated budget. She bought me sneakers like every 2 months. I mean, I was fortunate and blessed that my mom and both my parents worked and they were able to give us, but we still had a budget, you know?
Right.
And the cap, I couldn't get those. But I was like, you know, Easter was a big thing. Right. I grew up, I'm a Latina woman, of course. I'm half Puerto Rican, half Dominican, born and raised in Harlem. And I was, you know, my zone school, it was just all Latinos. But I was a little advanced for my age, and they shifted me, sent me over to a talented and gifted school, which it was all African Americans. I was the only Spanish girl.
Gotcha.
So at home, I listened to did all the Latin, and then in school, I was listening to hip hop and everything else. So I remember Easter's a big thing, especially in Harlem. Like you got, everyone gets fresh. And I remember the Levi colorful jean suits with that shoe. Right. And my classmates, they were like maybe 2 or 3 classmates, and they had that shoe, and I was like, what is that? And it was the red cross trainer, and then they had my favorite one, the orange and blue. So I was like, I want that shoe. And then that probably was stuck in my mind, that and the Jordan 4, the original colorway. That was maybe 89, the first time that was introduced by Tinker. So I was like, I know mom can't afford that, but so to me, that's what always is like, those two are my most iconic favorite shoe. And then it wasn't until later on in junior high school that I was already working little summer jobs, and I was like, all right, now. So it was something more like an infatuation. It wasn't like, oh, let me just wear sneakers. Like, I always loved sneakers. And back then, okay, I probably was wearing Diodoras or Reeboks and
she's
Lottos.
She's going to church now, right now. She's going to church
and those kind of sneakers, but that sneaker, I wanted it. And then another bad creation, that group, right? They had this video, and all the whole crew, they had those sneakers, right. And they looked like it was so fresh to me. Like they had the big Champion or the big discus hoodies. I can't remember the starter hats, like with the thing.
What was that? And show or playground?
Playground.
Both of them were crazy.
But they had that sneaker, and to me, I have it partly in. I like original colorways, even though I play around with the new stuff, but then I tend to find that I don't wear it after a while. But at least the Jordan 4, I have the originals, colorways, I have them there without even touching them. They just there. I don't wear them. I have 2 pairs, doubles, because to me, that's your thing. That's my shoe. So being why I said this whole story is like, it's not now like, oh, I want to just be a sneaker girl so I can hang around. Just a Don C or Clark Kent and all these things, go to Complex Con. No, it has to really come within. Like a real sneakerhead could wear a general release and make it look fresh.
For sure.
And it's just like, I'm not a hype beast girl because I don't come from that era. You know, Jordans back then, a men's shoe was $130. If you had the money, you bought it. Not everybody wore Jordans, but you were able to just general release, go buy it in the store. It wasn't the hype before.
It was a different time.
You know, okay, people were wearing Reebok Classics and shell toes and your Puma Clydes. If you had the Jordan, okay, you was just a man or a boy or girl that got a little extra more money and you was wearing it and you was like, all right, he got Jordans, it's a little extra special. But it wasn't hype. It was just like, now it's like, I don't like this.
It's funny.
I mean, I went off on the topic. I just don't like this culture because it makes it whack. If you like a shoe and you have to actually like it. Just buy it, you know, like
Yeah.
I don't like to be controlled and told how I want to spend my money. I gotta sit and sign and repost you and get a raffle and wait and stand on the line for hours. And when I get there,
they're gone.
It's all the hype because most of the time the store only gets 15 pairs, 20 pairs max. I know these things because you know the back end, but it's like you're doing all the hype for what?
Yeah, no.
It's like if you like a shoe, buy it. Whether it's a $20 sneaker or you understand. So that's why it's like to me, I fell in love with it back then because it was just something that it was the colors, the way it looked, and the way in Harlem, like no disrespect to any borough, but Harlem is Harlem. Like all the, that was Dapper Dan era. Like all of that, I saw all of that, and I used to see it because remember I went to African American school. I was like 2 Latinas in I was one of them, and then so I got to see all that, and I was like, I like that. Like I love the clothes, and that's what partly started for me. So
I want to keep you there. I want to keep you there.
I knew you were gonna jump in.
I want to keep you there because you're free. I was waiting for the right time. How important were the music videos and things you were watching back then in fashion?
Very important because there wasn't this.
Exactly.
So you had to tune in. Like I used to stay late at night watching Video Music Box to see. That was the only way you could tap in and see what was going on in the nightlife. But the videos was just as important because it was the music. First of all, the music was amazing back then. So it was like the music, and you got to see like what they were really wearing. And I don't think it was a thing of stylists back then. I think people just wore what they were seeing.
What you wore that day was what you went to the video
or their community, or they went to the store to Foot Locker and just bought some cool shit, put it together, and that's it. And the best clothes came from the 90s. It's all the stuff that's being reinvented now. Look, like now. So it's like back then there was so many options. You could just go to the store and pick up something fresh, and it made sense. So I think it was very important because it tied in all those elements without forcing it. And I think now everything is too forced and premeditated. But back then it was just like the guys was wearing the starter fitted snapbacks, with the big jackets, or we were wearing like
Averexes,
like Jabot jeans with the big oversized hoodies. Like it was just, you could go to the projects or go to the corner store and you're going to see somebody that you can relate with it. They just made it a little more fresh.
It's funny, I had this conversation recently just about how important it is for you to understand your history in something that you like. Like just don't jump into it.
That's why I'm saying back to this generation. They're like, oh, I want to go to Complex Con. And I know because I have girls specifically that they ask me, and me, I just do it after. They're like, oh, like I put on an outfit, I just grab something, like, because you come from that era, so you understand. They're like, Jazz, like, what can I buy? And I'm like, you gotta buy what you like.
Why are you asking me that question?
You can't ask me that. There's so much variety. Like, you could make a general release. Look, Pop, I was just having a conversation with Sean before I walked in. He was talking about New Balance. I'm like, New Balance is one of my favorite shoes because it's one of the most comfortablest. Now the Rock Nation offices move further down in Chelsea, so I walk an hour a day. It takes me a half an hour in the morning to get there and a half an hour to go home. So I'm not wearing the majority of the things I will wear. Like, I wouldn't wear these to work. There's Air Force Ones, but I wouldn't wear those. I wear something that is comfortable, is durable, and I could beat up and won't feel that bad because I could go to the store and buy another pair. There's no hype behind it.
And you're wearing it for a reason.
Yeah, so I go back to telling females, like, buy what you love. Don't buy something because you think it's what's hype or you see someone on Instagram wearing it. What you wear might not be cool for me, and vice versa. I'd be like, hey, that looks fly on him, but it won't be on me. But I'm not gonna buy it because I see Sean with it. I'm like, okay, I want to be a cool cat like Sean.
But then too, you would never duplicate what he's wearing, right? I mean, because that's from that era too.
But that's his style,
right? That's his style.
Comes from that era. We were talking about this, last live stream. But like the whole no biting allowed. Like if you walked into I have gotten together with family, my cousins. And then we were wearing the same pair of sneakers. And I was like, okay, so somebody's changing.
Yeah.
Like, quickly. Someone's changing quickly. So that's like, eventually when we can, leave the house, like, yo, we're at your house. So if you came to my house and you wearing yours, and I have to like, okay, so I'm going back to the room. I got to switch it up now.
I mean, I'll even take it one step further. I walk out the house and someone got the same sneakers I got on, I'm going back in. Like, I'm not good. I'm like,
Back then it was that because there wasn't so much variety.
Exactly.
Right.
I tell people, and it's like, how do you do? People ask me all the time, I guess because I'm around so much younger people that work with me. So they're like, how do you do? I was like, you guys have too much options. It's like going to Baskin Robbins now. Like, what ice cream do I get? Back then, Jordans came out once a year. You had black or white once a year. You ain't get them that year, you gotta wait till next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's too many options. So it's like back then, if you had a pair of Jordan 5s, I might be wearing whatever,
maybe wearing the pair,
something else, because it was not a chance of you really bumping in, because I'm wearing something else that only I could get hands on. You understand? Now it's like you're liable. I've been to so many parties now, and we all got Jordan 1s on.
Yeah, everyone got the same sneakers.
Everyone has the same sneakers. It's not special anymore. So what I do is I buy stuff and I just forget about it.
Me too. On the same
and I toss them. Then when I start looking, I'm like, oh shit, I got these. And then they be like, yeah, Jazz, your shits look crispy. I'm like, I bought them the same time you party did.
I just on ice, right?
Mine's been sitting on ice.
Look, I forgot about those.
Yeah.
Right?
They sitting on ice, so it's like, but it's because you don't want to watch the conversation. You don't want to bump into somebody.
Exactly.
I do that because I don't want to bump into something like, okay, what's coming out now? The Bread 11s.
Oh,
everyone's gonna have that this month. Yeah. Everyone's wearing them.
Everyone's gonna have them Monday after they come out.
Put them away, and I might wear them Memorial Day weekend.
Exactly.
You understand? Like. Not planning intention like that, but that's the OG way of doing things.
Well, see, you're also, what you do when you do that is you're an archivist. When you do that.
Absolutely.
Because you're saying, all right, I'm about to buy these, not for what they mean today, but
you love
for what they're going to mean to me later.
Right.
Like,
and when I'm going to wear them.
Right. And when I'm going to, what's going to be the story behind it? What holiday, what occasion, you know. So
I do that a lot. I pre-plan because I don't like to leave my house undressed. And like, cause you spend all day looking for that outfit, you blew the whole day, and that's I like to have stuff in stash. So, cause I'm just a moody person. I'm a true Cancer. I'm mood. If I wake up today and I want to wear a suit, I'll put on a suit. If I want to wear a dress, I'll put on a dress. If I want to wear a sweatsuit and have my hoodie on, then that's me, or jeans. So that day, however I woke up, I turn on the music, and that's my mood. I'm like, that's how I'm getting dressed, and I'm like, I have this already in mind. I'm wearing this, but I left from the day like that, you know.
Yeah. There's a pretty dope question. I think I should ask it. Pretty dope. What is something you would like to see change regarding the intersections of sneakers and music?
Change?
Yeah. I know that one's a stumper. I was thinking about it myself. It's just like
something I would like to see change.
I always only look at the benefit of it, like how cool it is to see like artists getting deals. But then on the back end of it, I'm always like, do they need to give so many artists deals? Right. Because not everyone's that dope, and some people don't even get to find out about what.
Or they fuck up the collab.
Yeah. Right. I said
I've seen that a lot of times.
That's my point.
You're like, why you fuck that shit up? Like, why you did that to a classic? Certain things just have to be left
Right, just leave it alone. Right. So, I mean.
And I could speak on, I don't want to throw it out there, but I could speak on big collabs that have happened now with big artists. I'm like, why did they do that to that shoe? Like, they had to leave. That's just certain things you don't touch.
There's some things that are better. Like sometimes silence is golden, right? Some sneakers don't need to be touched. You know, like think about Reebok back in the early 2000s when they had, and this is before Adidas bought them, their music entertainment division was on fire.
Ran everything.
Think about it. They had Queen Latifah. They had Common. They had a plethora of artists, right?
Before JM50.
Yeah. And
I think, and that's when the collabs first started, if you want to really take back. I was a part of that whole era.
I said that earlier.
Exactly.
I literally said the same thing.
I was a part of that, so I saw it firsthand, the collaborations, and it wasn't forced.
Right. It was organic. It was just very real.
It was organic.
Yeah.
It was organic.
And then, fast forward to 2005, Adidas buys Reebok. Germany comes in real heavy-handed.
Kills the entertainment.
I mean, they literally killed the entertainment division, and it hurt. Like, I was like, I know Todd and those cats over there. I was like, yo, I know you're pissed.
Yeah, it's certain Reeboks you just gotta leave them as
the
is.
Classics, like the Reebok Classics, the Exofits,
Exofit lows, like
the workouts.
That's the OG. We call the OG Uptown Hustler shoe.
Yeah.
I used to work at a sneaker store at 15, and that shoe was $50.
Oh wow!
And those things sold like hotcakes.
They were just going, weren't they?
Because you only could. It was like the Air Force One now. You only get 2 or 3 wears of them, and then that's the real hustlers from Uptown, from Broadway, from where I'm from. They wore them once, maybe twice, and tossed them because the Reeboks, the leather used to lean. You know, so even the materials, you know, that's a whole other conversation. But you know, those sneakers you have now, I see them with all these colors, and I'm like, it was Exofit white, Exofit black, and then they had the ones with the gum sole. The gum soles.
Yeah, exactly.
The yellow gum sole or the clear bottom. And that's it.
Simple.
Don't mess up a classic shoe.
So do we think that, based on Dion's question, do we think that brands need to be more conservative in terms of who they offer the deals? Or is it vice versa? Is it artists need to find something else to get into? Because I'd say that because I remember music videos where, and I was in the car industry, it was the car shots. Everybody rented somebody's cars with rims and everything on it. That slowly went away and became, in videos now, the obligatory sneaker shot.
Right.
Or liquor.
Yeah, it was liquor in between there.
Yeah.
Now it has to be the obligatory sneaker shot. That's been going on for about 7 to 10 years now. Somebody's got to have something on their feet, right? And it's got to be shown in the video. What's next?
I don't think you could take that away. Because every artist, when they perform, they do an interview, anything that they're doing, promoting music or certain project, they gotta be fresh. So you can't take away sneakers from
the whole game.
But do you have to showcase it as much? Do you have to force everybody to be in the shoes? Because there's a lot of people in the music industry who are being dressed like they're in the shoes and they're not.
That's fair. That's fair.
And that's going to happen.
So what is it they do that we can use to showcase them and connect to their audience in a different way?
Well, I'd even challenge it this way. Like, I think we put a lot of attention on the artist, but I actually want to challenge the brands because I feel like brands still aren't hiring the right people.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Hold on, but that will answer that question. Because if you actually have the person who knows what's going on, you won't make that mistake.
Yeah.
But there's still a gap there, and it's kind of hard to believe we're in 2019. They're not hiring the right people to know how to deal with the artist.
Because there were young employees that don't really understand the culture and the shoe, the history of the shoe,
or the history
and
of the
certain
brand.
Sneakers. You can't wear them with certain outfits, and they're just throwing it on thing because maybe that's the specific shoe they have to push that month, or it's a special release, so they're just over flooding it everywhere.
Right.
But it's just like, I'm from New York, so back then when there was stylists and you had a shoe and you couldn't find a specific sneaker, and it really was back then, it was either you had a specific sneaker in mind or you were matching by color. If you didn't have either option, you just put on a pair of construction boots or a pair of white Uptowns, and it was safe. It was clean. The two most cleanest, iconic New York looks was the white on whites or a pair of yellow Timbs, a pair of buttons. You understand? So I think we should get back to that instead of you putting, let's say, the Travis Scott Jordan 6s because that's what's out now. That doesn't necessarily mean it goes with that look. So I think it's being forced and it's just too much. It's overkill, and that's what's happening. Like Virgil dropped the off-white. Now every photo shoot, everyone's wearing off-white. Why? Go back, dig. There's so many options now.
Are people being lazy? That's what I think sometimes. When I see that and I see a recently released sneaker in a shoot, I'm like, are they doing it because...
Well, don't get it messed up. Stylist is always going to want to bring... this is my industry.
Right.
So stylist is always want to bring the artist the latest of the latest because he has to keep that artist fresh and relevant thing. But
it's up to the artist.
The artist should also... A true stylist is always going to put their input and tell the artist, no, you don't have to wear the new off-white.
You have to have your own taste.
This is... that, and then the artist is going to be like, okay, because generally the artist doesn't have time. He's not in the stores. He's not in the sneakers. He's not keeping up because he's doing everything else. He's in the studio. He's doing rehearsals.
Theoretically, he should be doing
He's traveling. There's only 24 hours, but it's really not a lot of time. So you running around. So a true stylist that's gonna come and take that risk. Like the Misas, like those are really big. My girl Tiff's the stylist, like they pushed the needle and went left. But the artist, even if the artist hate, I've been there. The artist like, I ain't wearing this shit, but they're like, trust me. And then later on, the artist could look at it like, damn, that stylist was right. But now it's like they're lazy. They just think, okay, that's a new thing here. These are the 6 new things that are out. Put it on. But not necessarily everything goes with a certain look or vision or you know.
We talk about this all the time, like the next wave, right? Music, sneakers. Like we're always talking sneakers, so we're talking to students. Where do you think the next big opportunity is, or if there's an opportunity, where would you tell students to look?
In terms of music, fashion,
either or sneakers or music?
Well, I have to take it from the music perspective first for me, because I mean, I have all those industries under my belt. I want to see people being influenced by real things again. You know, I want to see people, you know, I have to give the example, even though I can't stand the song. I mean, it makes me want to just stab my ears.
I don't even know if I just laughed.
But, you know, French Montana, when he went back to his African roots of his family and he started using some of that music, and his whole vibe changed. And I mean, this wasn't about success, but it was about success. But he became more successful than he probably ever would have been prior to that.
Absolutely.
When he flipped and he started putting that Afro-beat and African
influence
in his music. Right.
I was saying, he revealed part of who he is.
So now
he showed us.
It's authentic.
So everybody has that kind of background and story that they can pull from.
Right.
Why aren't, you know,
more artists doing it?
Forcing people to do that?
Because
I mean,
it's social media. So
what you're doing it,
what you're doing, if he's a DJ, perfect example. If you're a DJ and I see you're on the road, you're at parties, you're taking pictures with all these celebrities, you're hosting, because of your success, now you got the better cars and the better shoes. I just wake up and say, I want to be a DJ too.
Right.
Let me go to Sam Mash or something. Let me just go buy some equipment and that's it. But it's not what I really love.
You guys are downloading apps now. They're not even buying equipment.
But that's what's happening with everything. Same thing like the photographer. Everybody's a photographer now. Just because I went into Best Buy and bought a camera, that doesn't make me a photographer. Let me
learn the craft.
Develop.
That's the problem.
Study it, and then see if this is something for me. If it's something that you can't do a day without, or you enjoy doing it because you love, then that's your passion. If you're doing it for this, or because you're chasing a check, or you have an ulterior motive, then that's just not for you. What's for you may not be for me, and vice versa. But that's what's happening now. Everything is forced because people are looking like, oh, he does that. I want to be a sneaker connoisseur. You do that. Okay, I want to do that too. And that's where it's just whack now. Like
So let me ask you this, Jazz. Back in the days when we would meet artists, you know, at whatever level, it was simply just about, for music, it was just about music. That's all they wanted to talk about. That's all they wanted to do. Do you meet, let's say, an artist or fashion person or whatever, and they have this whole plan for what they want for their brand now, for what they want to do, or is it still just about that one thing and then the other things come after?
I think I have 2 perspectives on that, because I've been in the industry prior social media and I've been now. So prior, it was all about the music, because an artist just wanted to get their foot in the door. They didn't know all the opportunities and all the bundling that comes with starting with music and being an entertainer.
Plus they weren't there.
Yeah, and it's like, who's gonna give, if I'm a new artist and I have 1 record out, who's giving me a sneaker deal? Nobody knows me.
Right.
I'm not there yet. I don't have an audience. I don't have a fan base. Who's giving it to me? So back then it was all about the music. Like you had to fall in love with the artist for their craft.
Right.
And there was, let's say 10 artists, right? Now there's 100 artists. It's oversaturated. Technology has made it in the sense that anybody can go to a studio and record a record. You don't really need talent, just a little bit of auto-tune and you sound like
GarageBand and auto-tune.
So
Studio session at 6.
Because of this, they're seeing let's say I'm gonna use Khaled. Khaled is an artist and he has a liquor brand sponsoring him. He has a sneaker brand. So now, you know, he has all these elements. He has the bundle. Yeah. So the new artist, this day and age comes, like I say with artists, they're like, oh, this is my song. These are my records, and this is the packaging, and this is my merch, and this is where I want to go in the vision. And I love that because you have an overall vision, but it's not realistic because it's like you have to start with one thing. And people fall in love with that one thing. If you're an artist, let people accept you for that. Then everything starts branching out. I can't, me as a marketer or a true manager, I can't go to a brand, let's say, whatever brand, and say, this is my artist. And they're like, okay, but who is that?
This is my artist, and he wants a whole apparel collection.
So it's I've seen it on both sides. But this generation, they think that they have a record and they're entitled to all these other things.
Okay. Yeah, to me, from what I'm hearing, it's like take your time and perfect your craft first.
Because if you perfect your craft, those brands will reach out to you.
Right.
There's always going to be brands that are going to reach out because they just want to get their product out. But there's those specific key brands and they're like, this makes sense for my brand because that artist is doing X, Y, and Z.
Absolutely.
Let me offer this opportunity. Then it becomes more authentic and more organic because it's true to the artist and the art. It coincides with the artist.
And it'll last longer too. Like it's actually a better relationship to build.
Well, you know, this thought process now even exists in little kids that you're talking about. And I experienced it personally. Dee and I hosted some sneaker education classes for a few kids in age range from about 7 to about 15. We did this about 3 months ago, right?
Yep.
And the exercise was for a t-shirt, cap, and sneakers. You had to design it and then come up with the whole plan and how you'd sell it.
Okay.
And these kids have ideas. They're already thinking about this at 7, 8, and 9 years old.
I think the ideas are always there.
That's the best time to introduce that.
Especially as a child. A child is so creative. Yeah. So I think the ideas are they don't have other things to think about as like we do as adults.
Right.
They don't got to think about I gotta go out there and grind because I gotta go pay this rent because the bill collectors is blowing up. So all they can do is be in a creative space all day.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I thought I was gonna be an artist. I used to sit there and draw cartoon characters, sketch, but that's just what I liked back then. So it makes sense for them if you've given them 3 specific different things, they can pick all these colors for the sneaker. They can write whatever lettering for the hat. They can draw whatever they want on the t-shirt. I think the creative is always there for a kid because a kid lives in a creative space. A kid I love being around kids, me personally, because they have no filter. Like they say what they say.
They see what they see. They say what they
say. Like their imagination is crazy.
It's endless though, because they don't have the other stuff that we have to deal with.
Right.
What about you? Where did you think the opportunities are?
I think realizing that there's a career, right? There's multiple entry points into the music industry as well as footwear and fashion. Like I always think there's someone who's designing this product, whatever the product is. But particularly growing up, when I looked at the sneaker, I was like, I want to know the person behind it. Like those are the stories I never heard about. It wasn't until much later when people started writing about who the designer was and putting them even on the cover of
they were unsung heroes.
Right. They were unseen, right? You never heard their names, you never saw them.
Yeah.
For me, like I think about fashion, it was a big thing where I had the wrong gender for Walker wear. I'll never forget that. Like I heard Walker wear, I saw it in videos and everything like that, and then eventually on the cover of the Source magazine,
there she was.
There's April Walker, right? And I'm like, I thought Walker wear was a male, and I hate to say it that way, but I assumed it was a guy, right? Because why would a woman design clothing that's in the hip hop industry, right? And then I was like, oh, and then fast forward many, many moons later to actually meeting her, getting to know her and becoming like, she's a sister. To me, like hearing her stories is like, okay. And then learning about who she styled and how she came up with that design and like the intricate details on like the denim suit with the belt loop that happens to be a W for Walker wear, right? And that merging of fashion and music, particularly hip hop, though, like that.
Well, she probably took her time and she studied the artist, and it was true to the artist as well as true to her, because she was able to creatively express what she was great at.
Mm-hmm. And the artist bought into it also.
And the artist bought into it.
Is that harder to do these days?
I just think there's so many artists now. It's oversaturated, and it's just everything is just rush. Everybody's just trying to get on, as opposed to before there was the unsung heroes. People were okay and to be behind the scenes.
Okay.
Now everybody wants the spotlight. Everybody wants the blue check on Instagram. Everybody wants to be lit and popping. You know, it wasn't cool. So, look at going back to the guy who built the best Jordans, Tinker. Like no one knew who that guy was. If you knew, you knew. But now his story. Right. But it's like, think about it. He designed some of the
most iconic
sneakers Jordans ever.
Sneakers ever.
They're gonna be still here. God bless him. Even when he goes, and he was. I'm sure he sat. He studied. He watched Jordan. He know the colors he wore. It was true to Jordan. So when he wore that shoe, it complemented him as an athlete, him as a person. Like Jordan was swaggy as fuck. Even when he used to walk in the locker room, like I used to have a crush on him. I used to look at him like he's so sexy. Like so it was, but the shoe was sexy.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect.
The shoe was him.
Yeah, there's a fast forward. There's so many athletes in the NBA now that have their shoes, but does some of them they look crazy?
Is it them?
They're just like, okay, let me just give them this and put new materials and tell them that it's cool. But it wasn't sexy. Like some of the Jordans from that era, you could wear them even with I've seen guys wear suits and wear a pair of Concords. I've seen guys wear tuxedos and put on a pair of Concords. Like. And it's sexy, you know? So I think that they took their time, saying like the person you're speaking on, she took her time and studied this, so it was different.
Do you think right now, what I'm hearing you say in a roundabout way too is patience. Like right now, there's no patience.
Everybody wants to get on. I just say.
So
everybody's on a rat race.
So how does that translate to getting people to understand, like, you got to put in the work, you got to put in the hustle. Maybe you're putting the 15, 16, 18
even
hours
like
a day.
Virgil, I don't know Virgil personally, but I know the camp he came from. Like, they were around Kanye for a while. So I'm sure things that they saw, experiences, moments, going through so many different countries, looking at fashion, culture, like all of those elements inspire him. And if you look at everyone from, look at Don C., Jerry from Fear of God, they all are huge, but that didn't just happen 2 years ago. From back then, they were probably like trial and error and building those relationships and studying
and failures and things we didn't see.
Yeah,
but it's important for
Jerry had to really go through Japan and find specific denim and look at the materials and the way things fit and cut, because we're all different type of body types. Exactly. This is a man's shirt I'm wearing.
Attention to detail. Yeah,
it's a smaller size, but it's cool enough for me to wear, but a man can wear it also. But you have to, a true designer has to look all that, because clothes is really supposed to be unisex. Right. So he had to really know cutting and, you know, sitting with certain buttons, and that's not something you just be like, oh, I'm coming with a clothing line next month and it's lit and we have these capsules. And it doesn't happen. And what people fail to realize is that nothing, I don't think, back to even fashion, music, fashion, even being an athlete, it takes time. You have to trust that process. You have to trust, like, it takes anything worth, how to say it?
Anything
takes some time.
You know?
So go ahead, Sean.
I'm sorry. You work for a brand that obviously I think the pressure has to be on you to live up to the public's perception that, oh, Rock Nation, everything is hot. Everything we do, we have to do.
I love what you're shaking your head already.
It's my job. I do it. I will do it. Okay, I'm an adult now, so we all need money to pay bills, but I will still do this job even if there wasn't a salary because I love what I do.
Exactly.
Right.
I just happen to work for the greatest rapper of all time. And it's just what people don't know is People Rock Nation. I come from Rock La Familia days in 05, you know? So, and prior to that, like, I know OG Juan since I was a kid. We were all from the same neighborhood in Harlem. Like, I used to see Jay come up there in the early 90s, shop and do whatever he did up there. So it's like, it's like you never look at it like things were always there, but it didn't make sense. And then looking back, you're like, oh shit, it was meant to be. A lot of things happened for me like that in my life. So I don't live for the iconic Rock Nation. Yeah, it's a very strong brand because of who's the face of the brand. And it's a boutique label. We sign, whether on the label side or the management side, we sign some really cool artists. But I don't look at it like pressure because I'm just, every day's a different day. No 2 days are alike for me. I have my goals and responsibilities like any other employee. When I walk in, I know what I have to do, what emails I have to check, what I have to do. But, you know, the cool part is that I think what I love about my job is that I work on different projects. So it doesn't become routine and it doesn't become boring.
From time to time.
I can't work at a job that I'll go in at 9, check my emails, I go to eat at 1, come back at 2, I leave at 5. I can't do it, but it exists. And I have left the industry and tried that, and I've done.
Work for you.
It's just not for me. But I don't live. It's just I'm very proud. You know, I'm rock like, and it's kind of hard because I've gotten offers from so many other places, and it's like sometimes the money is more or that, but I'm like. It's like,
that leads me to my next question.
That's the fam, you know, like I do it, like I said, effortlessly. Like that's just, you go a little harder because
you've seen where it was built from.
And the people behind it is like, I'm honored to work alongside of them and I respect them. And Jay's that, you know, he's the big boss, but I'm still a fan of Jay-Z. Like, I grew up listening like
to his music, right?
Reasonable Doubt. Like I used to sneak in high school in the cafeteria with a CD player, hiding, listening to that on a CD. So it's like I'm a true fan. That's probably one guy I never get tired of watching him
for sure
in his concerts. So like when you see him walking around in the office, it's like, yo, that's the big homie. Like that's Jay-Z. I still, even though I have a relationship with him, but it's like I'm still a fan. Like he's a superhero. So. But it's work to me, like.
So I say that, and I'm glad you laid all that backstory down on that. The projects that you work on, do the artists that you work with understand all of that? Or do they have these delusions of grandeur that you have to manage with every project?
No, but the artists that I have now on my roster, I have relationships with them prior. So, I mean, one of them, I signed on to the label. So it was just, he more trusted my judgment. Like, I'm like, bro, like, we got to take you to the next level. And that's DJ Camilo. Like, I had a relationship with Camilo early on because I'm a heavy hitter. I started with Enough in the industry. I mean, really back before that, I started with, my first taste of the industry was with Rough Riders in 99, but I came full on.
DNY.
Yeah. Shouts to DNY, especially all the family. So I started on with Enough and the heavy hitter. So my relationship with Camilo was back then. And I saw him try all these years. Is the only DJ that I'm like, he's consistent all these years, rocking 7 nights, 7 days a week, 2 parties a night. Like what DJ you know is a closer and rocks out and people still excited to see and his energy is different. So it was a matter of just, I had a relationship with him. Like, and I think that's just with everything I do in the industry. And I'm like, bro, like, we got to get you bigger. Like, you're already big, but let's take you bigger. That's my goal with him. Like, what can I do to whatever he has already, just take it to the next level. And then I also work with Jim Jones, and it's the same. Cam, Jewels, like they had me on speed dial because back then you couldn't MP3 somebody a record. You had to go to Hot 97 with the vinyl. And who was the middleman between Enough and the artist?
You're right.
So it's like, it was relationship. So, and then it's funny because Jim was probably the one that I got cool with the last. It was first Cam, then Jewels, and then Jim later on. But we always would see each other, and it was a mutual respect, and it was always like head nod, like, hey, whatever. And it's just, I guess him seeing me in the building, he's like, yo, I want you on my team because I think I kind of understood it. We're both from Harlem.
Right.
So I understand he's a very big fashion icon, to me at least.
But see, that's what I was just getting ready to say. I was just getting ready to say, those names you mentioned, those people that you've worked with, when they came into the music industry, because of their roots in Harlem, they had a fashion swagger already.
Yeah, like to me,
I mean, Cam is the guy who made guys like, yo, I'm rocking that pink. He made a pink Range Rover.
Yeah, he was able to take that risk. Yeah. But to me, Jim is just his aura, his swag. Like he does it effortlessly. I go to stores with him, and it's like me. He'll go in a sneaker store. Like I think that's what we have.
That's the connection.
We have a big connection with that. And he'll go to a regular sneaker store. He'll go to like the little holes in the wall sneaker store, and he'll pick general releases, but they just look fly on him. So I'll be like, I like those. And then I'll be like, you like this? He'd be like, dude, you got those are hot boys. Vice versa. Or he'll come in office and he'll look at my feet. He'd be like, no, those are hot. You know? Yeah. So it's like I understand them, but it makes it my job easier because I understand the person. And I mean, I'm fortunate that I have those two artists right now that I have a relationship with them. So I study them. So I know what Camilo won't do. I know what Jim won't do or he won't wear, or I'm like, he's not going to do that. You know, so even if opportunity comes to me as a manager, you're already kind of like, I'm already for like, no. Even before I take it to him, because they're going to look at me like, come on, Jazz, you know better.
Don't do that.
So, I mean, I'm sure there's other artists on that label that I work with. You know, I help out with Fat Joe, you know. If upper management tells me to go do something with Megan or Meek, I'm going to do it with the same energy and the same passion. But I like to work with people that I kind of like study and know a little more because I could bring those opportunities.
It makes the job easy too.
Yeah, and it's like I'm excited because I'm like, perfect example, like Jim has a clothing collab coming out with PRPS. This is PRPS. So I see him in the showroom picking patterns and designs. So it's exciting to me because I have a passion for it and I see it go to life. And it's like, I'm not in the meeting with him like,
will you hurry up and pick? You're not doing that.
I'm in there like, I'm like, nah. So I'm like, Jim, how about this? And because we come from the same community, we're kind of like around the same age. I'm like, remember these? They used to wear. He's like, he was like, pull that up. and he'll show me, and I'll be like, nah, you got it. So it's like,
it's a good energy. I get creative energy.
I'm not saying I'm taking all the credit, but I can pitch in certain things, and he'd be like, I get him.
So since we're talking about picking something, we always do this when we have a guest. Why did you wear what you wore today, and what are they?
Well, today, the reason why I wore these sneakers.
Breathe.
Leather laces.
This is my first panel.
Okay.
Speaking on sneakers.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm a sneaker junkie since I was, what was it? 3rd grade. I fell in love with those Jacksons.
We loved you before we met you.
And most of the artists I know, DJs, tastemakers, when they say hi to me, they always look at my feet. It's a given thing. So I have so many sneakers, and people always wanted me to speak on panels, but I'm just so private. It's like I said, it's not forced to me. It's just a hobby. I love sneakers. I love music. I also DJ as a hobby. So, I love music. I love sneakers. I love fashion, and I love what I do.
Right.
But everybody's like, tell your story. I'm like, the story will tell itself, you know?
No one tells your
story. So this is the first time I'm speaking
on sneakers.
On sneakers. So I decided to wear these Air Force Ones from my dear friend DJ Clark Kent. Because Clark Kent is someone that I met very early on in my career, and we always maintain a very strong friendship. And I respect him as the person who he is. I think he's he encompasses all the factors that make up the things that I like. Like he's a producer, like he's an ill producer. He discovered one of the greatest rappers of all time, and it was influential for other artists as well. Right. He's very respected in the sneaker, and he knows his sneakers, and he knows the culture. So many brands work with him, and I feel like everything he touches on is fire, from backpacks to the Toomey collection to like
he just did a collab with a mattress brand.
They converted that to a shoe. Like,
that one's
yeah. So I decided in honor of him, you know, and these were gifted. Like, it's the Air Force pony hair with the gum sole, Clark Kent 2017s, and he gifted them to me. And of course you can't buy these in store,
right?
And he gifted to me, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Clark. Like, I get it, you know, excited. He's like, I'm sure you wear these and you know what to do with them, and you
that's dope, because he's in the course too. So
to me, it's his Air Force One is one of his favorite shoes. So I decided to wear these in honor of him. Dad, I'm from Harlem. Dope. So it's you know, Air Force One. So I think it all makes sense for today. Like I said, I'm very big on moves, and today I was like, I have, you know, different shoes to wear, but I'm like, that's in my mind. I'm like, from the beginning of the week, I was like, I'm gonna wear this shoe. And then I looked on StockX, and the shoe was like $4,000. Like, so hey, Clark, hold on, it's Christmas in 2 weeks. Maybe I should. But I won't do that. I have a few gems.
I actually respect that you wore them, because some people wouldn't even wear them.
I know, right? People would have looked on StockX
and be like, yo, let me make sure I'm wearing these.
Oh, I'm not wearing these.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, hold on. Like, it's Christmas in 2 weeks. I got a bunch of
I got some shit I gotta handle. Yeah.
But he's another one that tells me, wear your shit, Jazz. Wear them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I mess with so many sneaker guys. Like, you know, I have my different little plugs and outlets that I go to West New York, uptown. Love them. The staff is so cool with me. Like, they give me a call, heads up. Sometimes I go through my phases. I might not want nothing, and then I'm like, all right, I'm back. I'm itching. I need sneakers. They'll send me pictures, and I'll be like,
is that Jazz at the door? We haven't even opened
yet. Yeah. So they'll give me those, and then I have my guy Dracula. He's a Dominican guy from Jersey. He's my guy. Like, I go to him when I want something really exclusive, like a exclusive Yeezy or Off-White or something that you can't find on a normal day. He always has it. His back stock is so I'm like, he just grabs it. Yeah. So it you know, I have my little gems that I go through, but they both tell me, wear your stuff, because even my guy Dracula, he has a back on, and a lot of sneakers he has in storage. Can't the glue, like
everything's falling apart.
It falls apart
because it's been sitting for so long.
So I tell Clark, how do you avoid that? He's like, Jazz, just wear them.
Yeah, that's the key.
It's a shoe. Like, what you gonna do? So
yes,
man. A lot of people, like you said, wouldn't wear these because of the value and thing, but that's why I wanted to hold them for sentimental. But I decided just. You know,
we happy you broke them out, bro.
Absolutely. Bless us with the moment.
Yeah, I was like, I wear these. You know, I'll probably put them back in the box after today, because it's hard.
But at least you can say you wore them, though, right?
Yeah. So
you got the story.
I wish I could take my shoe off and show you that on the camera, but I'm sure you guys know. Sexy show.
So we're about to run out of time, but like I always like to do this because there's people who've only met you guys for the first time, even though I know you guys.
Right.
And all of us, whether you look at it from a school perspective or just life, you're always in front of people teaching them something. So since we're talking about music and sneakers, make sure you say your name and lend some advice to the young generation that if they wanted to get into sneaker or a music industry, what would you tell them?
You don't want me to go first on that, do you?
Okay, so I'll let you close it. Dee, you go first, and then we'll go.
Really? Man, where do I even begin? Dee Wells,
there you go.
Obsessive sneaker disorder. It is real. It's a disease that I've had since 1979. Not getting rid of it anytime soon.
No cure.
And it's kind of funny that you're wearing Clark Kent, because I'm also wearing Clark Kent's East-West Dunks. As well. It just happened. Big homie. It just so happened. So.
Well, like, I didn't even look at what you had on today.
Yeah.
I won't delay. I saw it. I see what you guys.
No one. Again, I always say this, and I sound like a broken record, but no one tells your story better than you. So keep telling it. So I'm glad that you're telling your story, a portion of it. I'm glad people will get able to see and hear from you directly. Anything you want to be good at in life, you have to be obsessed with it. You know, people are going to look at you like you're crazy. So if it's music, you have to be producing, or if it's producing, you should be producing music every day, or you should be writing every day, or playing a trumpet or piano, like anything. Like, you know, this OSD thing came because we have been obsessed with sneakers for a long time. We just didn't know there was more people like us. And then when we finally decided to like jump out that window, so to speak, with the podcast and everything, and always be learning. right? Always try to and again, because of this device now, you can always learn. You can learn in your bed. You can learn, I hate to say it, but you can learn anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So read and question things, and then connect with people. You know, it's not always it's not always what you know, it's also who you know. So a lot of this happened because of people. Even this panel today happened because of some people, not just us here, but the people who supported us, that brought us together.
1,000%.
So treat people with respect. You know, a simple golden rule. Like I always tell people, listen, say hello to the trash man, to the CFO. You should get to know everybody. Talk to them and be able to say, hey, good morning, good afternoon, hello. So
Got you. JP.
My name is Jazmin Polanco. I'm professionally known
PKA
in the music industry as Jazz Po. Is a moniker that was given to me by my fellow heavy hitters, and it makes sense. Jazz Po is the beginning and ending of my first and last name. A title, I can't give you guys a title. I don't like to be boxed in. I've done so much in my career. I've been blessed to touch so many different departments and so many different labels, and been around so many different people. And I think that's what built my bones and made me who I am. Back to what we were saying, you really have to, in order to speak and engage and teach, you have to really know what you're talking about. I can speak on radio because I've done radio promotions. I could speak on marketing because I've done marketing, you know? I can speak on the sneaker culture because I've been infatuated with sneakers since 1986.
Right.
You know, so, and I've bought thousands of sneakers to know which ones feel good, which ones don't, which ones work, you know? So everything in life is an experience, a moment, and what you take from it is what makes you, you know? Sometimes I can sit here and tell you the music industry is not the only field that I've been in. I've worked in the hospitals. I've worked in sneaker stores. I've worked in so many different places. I'm the type of person that I'll take a job at McDonald's to learn how to make burgers because I want to know how they make those burgers. And once I learn,
then you're out.
You're out, and I go to the next thing. So my point of this is try different things because you don't know what you like or what you're into unless you try. But if you want to do something, you know, take the initiative and learn it, study it, build on it before you say you're a DJ or you're a photographer or you're a sneakerhead, you know, because you're going to be challenged and you're going to be put in a room or put in front of a conversation with someone that they're going to be like, that person really doesn't know what they're doing. And that's not a cool moment. I've seen it happen multiple times. Yeah. And to the young people that are listening, try things. It's not uncool if you work at McDonald's, because you can learn managerial skills. You can learn time management. There's so many elements. It's a job, it's a responsibility. Yeah. I've done so much in my life to this day. And a lot of it didn't make sense back then. Yeah. But looking back and looking, back now, all those dots, they somehow connected. And in every experience that I've met someone, I've built a relationship. And the most important thing that I could tell you in the entertainment industry is relationships. This is built on relationships. You don't know if today you're an intern, tomorrow you're the president of the company. So back to your analogy, treat the intern or the janitor the same way and salute and respect them the same way, because I've seen it. I've had interns that are now holding big roles now, or people that have worked side by side with me as assistants, and they're presidents of companies. It's happened in my company. So it's that's the best advice I can give someone that's coming in, and to have patience. Not everything is not for everyone. Right. It has to be true to you. And if it's true to you, it's like what they say, you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. True. And it's very true, because I've tried so many things, but I know what I love. Now I know what I love, and I know what I'll do for free if I have to. Because I know later on,
it'll come back.
It'll come back. Yeah, absolutely.
Sean,
I want to take it from two perspectives.
Let them know who you are too, though.
Sean Williams, co-founder of OSD. I want to take it from two perspectives. First one being the music. people should dig, not just for records, dig in your own life. When you were younger, what were people listening to around your house? What music influenced you? What stuck? You know, what roles in the industry, if you've been exposed to the business side, what roles were you attracted to? What things did you say, you know what, I can do that job better than him? Well, maybe I probably should have given it a try. Or it's not too late, give it a try.
Right.
You know, there's more to the music industry than just being the artist. There's people like Jazz who are behind the scenes who are making things go effortlessly and with passion that are making it easier for that artist to be who you love. Look into those roles. You know, as far as footwear, it's the same thing. I mean, you got to go with what you know and really dig and start with where you fell in love with sneakers, which is what we teach, and take it forward. And then the third thing, which is I had this conversation with a few designers not too long ago, some that we mentor. You have to know the difference between a pencil and a pen. Pens are for business, pencils are for creativity. A lot of major things that you are going to be a part of in your life, you are going to sign off on with a pen, not a pencil.
That's true. That's fair.
So, I mean, I leave people with those.
Yeah.
You know?
I always write with pencils. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like pencils.
I mean, I know it's Saturday, so thank you guys for taking the time.
Thank you.
course,
Thank
thank
you,
you for having
Celebrate,
us.
for having us.
No, for sure. I mean,
Thank you for inviting me, and
Absolutely.
thank you
for
letting
coming
me
and sharing.
Thank you, Jazz.
bless.
and shout out to Tamika for making it happen.
Of
Absolutely.
course,
Yes,
sure.
shout out to Tamika.
and Tamika, the first time I did radio, Tamika was on my first time doing internet radio when that kind of hit the scene.
So you guys got two first times.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
I was
Sneakers,
on a panel with her, so
Tamika,
I'm
what
not
up?
Nice.
so thank you for letting
No,
me
thank you guys.
tell a portion of my story here, and being the first, I hope, is one of many.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I'm
And
sure.
now
I'm
I could come on and kind of show all my cool stuff.
Right?
Because to work, I wear the regular. I wear what's comfortable.
Got you.
I jump on the train. I mean, I have a car, but I jump on the train like any other New Yorker, and I'm on the gritty because that's where you see things. And it's more than just, it's more than just, trust me, I'm not a fan of the MTA. I know the delays and stuff they do, and sometimes it's just like you don't want to be, I'm alone, I don't want to be around people, but it's like you get inspired, you get motivated, and it's an opportunity for me to listen to music. So it's so many things that I do down there, but of course I always like to be comfortable.
And see how people are responding to whatever they're listening to.
What they're wearing.
It's research. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have to be around people and interact in order for you to develop and big.
Absolutely.
Everyone from the greatest, from artists, painters, rappers, singers, they get inspired. Everyone has a place to go. Their safe zone to get inspired.
Yeah. Sure. No, but thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, D.
No worries.